Bucs are back at work today. They will begin preparations for their preseason game against Tennessee. But before that, on Thursday, the Titans come to town for a joint workout. We'll see if Baker Mayfield will, in fact, practice this week, as Todd Bowles promised. Coming off that hand contusion, he had about 4 days off now. So that's something to look forward to. I like these joint workouts, and I was listening to John Gruden was on with T-Kraz in it. And one thing he said resonated with me. You know, when you'd have these joint workouts, they used to be 2 days, right? That was the big thing. There were always 2 days of workouts. And instead, now you see more and more these teams just practice once. And I always thought, that's kind of when you go all the way there early in the week and, you're going to just practice one time. Turns out that there's some sanity to that. It's that by that second day, the players get a little too revved up from what happened the first day, I guess, and they want to exact revenge of some kind. And they tend to have more fights and more altercations. So I think the trend is now, and I didn't even realize this until he said it, I think the trend is now to just practice once with the team in a joint practice and then go from there. So in any case, Titans will come on Thursday. They will practice against the Bucs. We do expect to see Baker and the boys out there, and you'll see a lot of reps for the starters, not as many for the backups during this joint workout, because I don't think you're going to see many starters in the game, at least game one. Now, Bowles has said he wants to play guys more this preseason. What that means, I'm not sure. If you put Baker out there, you have to put your number one offensive line. And I could see them wanting to do that because they don't have Tristan Wirfs and, wanting to take a look at some other guys that are new. And even if you don't use your starting offense, like with Charlie Heck or whatever, I think you might see some younger players, even in Emeka Egbuka, that's playing with the second team that is playing. And let's be honest, you're going to see a whole lot of Kyle Trask in this preseason, and especially in these first couple games, I believe. So all that'll be fettered out, sometime later this week when we talk to Bowles. But the Titans are coming on Thursday, and just expect to see a lot of Kyle Trask, which, quite frankly, he is Mr. August. He has probably thrown for more yards over the last 4 years than any quarterback in the league in preseason, because he's played an awful lot, and he will again, and he needs the reps and all of that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be there with the first group. Because I think Baker, if you see the number one offensive line, Baker will be behind it. If you see Mike Evans, for example, Baker will be on the field. And I don't think they plan on playing Mike very much. But, again, the genius of the workouts are you can get every situation that you want in a joint workout that may not occur in a game. You may not have a 2-minute drive in a game. You may not have a goal line situation in a preseason game. You may not have a coming out drill in a preseason game. So those are all things you can rep in practice without your quarterback getting smeared or your players getting hurt necessarily. And that's the situation with football that they want to practice. So that's what the joint workout will be for. And then the game will be for guys trying to make their mark and make a roster in the NFL. And that's always exciting too. A lot of people, and I still don't know why they charge full price for these games. Honest to God, I think it's the biggest larceny there is in pro sports. If you're a season ticket holder, you get your ticket book and it's like, full price for these 2 preseason games that no one's going to play.
Hey, it's just like Jim Rome said. I take a lot of vacation because I get a lot of vacation.
That's right.
I charge full price for preseason because I can charge full price.
Get a lot of price for preseason, yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing. But if you look at preseason through a different lens, which is, hey, I'm not concerned and I'm not seeing Baker Mayfield, as painful as that may be, or Mike Evans, but I do want to see how this team comes together and who it is that is going to get that 5th receiver or, that ninth offensive lineman. Like, there's decisions that are going to be made, and a lot of them are be made based on what happens in these games and how guys show up. So if you're into roster building a little bit, if you're into player development a little bit, you're going to see some guys that were rookies last year that are back and see how much they progressed, or maybe guys, they're in their third year, that sort of thing. So you just got to kind of be kind of a geek about it and say, hey, I'd love to see Baker and the boys, but you know what? This is what I have, and I'm going to take a look at it and just, kind of watch who's going to step up and who's not. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. I know there's I made some comments about Trask. I don't want people to think that I don't like him. I just don't know if he's a capable quarterback necessarily, but he is going to get more reps, and it looks like he's going to be their number 2. So that's sort of where we sit with that. But there was a question about my stance on Kyle, I think.
Yeah, regular listener Les had tweeted. He says, Rick, heard today's pod, and it seems like you were or are against Kyle Trask as a backup.
Yeah.
Don't you think Jason Light would have upgraded the backup quarterback position if he could? And who was available that you thought the Bucs should have signed?
All fair questions. And yes, I do think he would have upgraded it if he thought he should or could. Here's what I think is Peter King would say. I think that Todd Bowles really likes Kyle Trask. And I think it goes beyond just his ability to throw a football. And what I mean by that is he sees a guy who is supremely motivated, an extremely hard worker, to the point of exhaustion, and somebody who has changed his body, tried to get better, has been patient. Look, this is professional sports, and it may sound like the greatest job in the world to back up Tom Brady and never have to play, or Baker Mayfield and never have to play. But these guys are competitors, and they've been that way their whole life. That's how they got to the NFL. They were all stars in college, right? They want to play the game. But to humble yourself and have to come into the league with all these expectations and sort of plans of your own, and have none of it happen because the quarterback you're behind is Tom freaking Brady, who never misses a game. And then when he leaves, here comes Baker Mayfield, and I'm supposedly competing against him, but in reality, they love Baker, and so I lose that job. And I've been on the bench now. This is going on 5 years. I can't put myself in. I played really in the most in one big mop-up game against Atlanta a few years back. There's nothing he can really do. I mean, he's doing all he can do until he gets the opportunity. However, I continue to say, if this is a Super Bowl team, let's just look at and we did this the other day. We'll do it again. Let's look at the other teams that you would say are Super Bowl contenders, legit Super Bowl contenders, right? The Chiefs, who've been in a bunch of Super Bowls, won a bunch as well. Behind Patrick Mahomes is Gardner Minshew. But Gardner Minshew's won and played a lot of football as a starting quarterback, I think, both in Jacksonville, and then we saw him beat the Bucs in Indianapolis one year, when Devin White failed to make a tackle. You've got the Ravens, Lamar Jackson. They've got Cooper Rush. Am I a big Cooper Rush fan? Do I think he's better than Kyle Trask? I don't know. Maybe a little bit, only because he has experience. And oh yeah, he's 5-1 as a backup with Dallas. When Dak went down or somebody went down, he was able to step in and do a really good job. 5-1. The Rams, Matthew Stafford's been laid up, sort of I think a sore back or whatever. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. Do I think Kyle's better? Yeah, he might be, but you know what? Jimmy can't throw the deep ball with squat. I mean, he seriously can't. But he's been to a Super Bowl, and he had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now, it was his fault that he didn't finish it, but that's where he was. So, yeah, I think at least what you're getting in guys like that. You know what you're getting in San Francisco with Mac Jones because he started for New England a couple of years. And so you can go down the line. My whole thing is, if you think you're a Super Bowl team, why then, if you had one game to win with your backup quarterback, are you going to bed on Saturday night not really sure what you're going to get? Now, I said that to Bowles, and he's like, I know what I'm going to get. He's going to be great. He's going to be prepared. He's going to do great. And that's a nice bunch of optimism there, right? But in the real world, you could have had, or maybe should have had, somebody that's been in the fire a few more times, because you never know what game you're going to need them and what's going to be at stake. That's all I'm saying. It's not personal. It's not against Kyle. I just happen to think that there always are quarterbacks. Every team has two of them at least. And you could certainly find one that has been in the fire before, that won't be, making his first NFL start or coming off the bench for the first extended time if and when, something happens to Baker, which last time I checked, the guy throws his body around so much that it wouldn't be unfathomable that he does get hurt. I mean, he got hurt the other day following through and striking a shoulder pad, but we know how he likes to run around and take on tacklers and all that sort of thing. So yeah, you better be ready. And Kyle is their guy. It's maybe he proves everybody wrong. That's been who Kyle Trask has been his entire career. People doubt him. He doesn't start in high school. He goes to USF. He's not behind Felipe Franks, and all he does is just knock it out of the park when he gets a shot. So maybe he'll do that in the NFL. But I do think that perhaps somebody who has played before, and it's not a great list. I mean, there's no great list of backup quarterbacks, really. But I do think if you found somebody who's played before, to me, if I'm a Super Bowl team, that's preferable than even Kyle Trask's, upside, because I haven't really seen him in a regular season game. All right, we got a couple more mailbag questions involving the Buccaneers, but first, I want you guys to get on down to Breitling Boutique. That's right, they're an International Plaza Mall. They've been there for about 5+ years. You go into the mall, center of the mall, go upstairs, second floor. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique, and the Breitling Company has been in business now for over 140 years, making the best Swiss watches in the world. And when you go in there, check out the men's watches, the chronomats, the Navitimers. Also have watches for your wife, for your girlfriend. These are sports watches. They're extremely durable, absolutely stunningly beautiful, and she gets to choose from an array of different colored wristbands. And if you like the NFL, and who doesn't, and that's why you're listening to this podcast, well, Breitling Boutique has done something where they're celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 team watches. That's right, 32 teams in the NFL, 32 different chronomat watches, all representing a different team. So if you're a fan of the Bucs, this is only while supplies last, or the Dolphins, or maybe you're a fan of the Ravens or Broncos, who knows? But you're going to find a beautiful chronomat watch. It's going to have the team color on the face of the watch, as well as some logos inside. They are stunningly beautiful. Go to tampabay.com. You're likely to see an ad for Breitling Boutique and the Buccaneers team watch. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Please, when you go, make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right, I got a couple more mailbag questions, I think, on the NFL and football, and Bucs maybe in particular.
Yeah, a biased fan had emailed you. He says, what do you think would be better for the Bucs? Hassan Reddick to have 18 sacks or Bucky Irving to have 1,800 yards from scrimmage?
Wow, that would be quite a year for Bucky, and he's very capable of doing that, by the way. He had damn near 1,200 yards rushing last year, and I think he can do a lot more in the passing game, for sure. He's got great hands, and that might be an area that they try to exploit a little bit better. For me, given those two choices, it's rare for a running back to get 1,800 yards, and we saw a couple guys probably do it recently. I still think that it would be better to have Hassan Reddick get 18 sacks, which I would think would be at or near the top of the NFL. And what that would do is, you remember when Shaq Barrett was able to do it, when he became an elite pass rusher for the Bucs. It creates so many opportunities for the other guys on the defensive line. If you got somebody who is literally putting quarterbacks on the ground that often, man, your defense is going to really hum, because he's a problem. He's a game wrecker at that point. And I think Reddick is capable of it? I do. He's not over the hill. He's in tremendous shape. He's extremely motivated, and he's pretty much, kind of wants to atone for what was the holdout and the miserable year, a year ago, with the Jets. And, you combine all that with the fact that Larry Foote was his coach early on, I think you got something. So I think, seeing what Shaq Barrett did his first year here. Now, they didn't win a Super Bowl, but he transformed that defense. And when they did win a Super Bowl, he was a big part of it. But he had, 19 and a half sacks and led the NFL. If you got anything close to that, man, you'd be pretty fired up. It means he's an all-pro, to maybe the top pass rusher in the league. So, yeah, to me, especially since you're capable of scoring points or have been with the offense. I'll take the defense in this one. Shifting gears just a little bit, there was an interesting article that I read, and it was really kind of loosely based on this Netflix series that Tom Brady, was a part of. And of course, Tom Brady bought a soccer team, a soccer club over there. And
It's called football, Rick. Football.
is that what it's called? But with a U, right? Is that right? Yeah, football. And okay, so he buys Birmingham City for 375. Well, no, not that's. I'm sorry. He bought Birmingham City with some of the money he's getting from Fox, which is 375 million.
Some of the money he's stealing from Fox.
Yeah, that. He didn't pay that for it, but regardless, and in the Netflix series, he's extremely critical. I mean, to the point of like, what? What did he say? And he comes in there, he's like, what's the problem? Is it the players or the coach? Well, we've already changed coaches. It's really on the players. And he said they were lazy. They were entitled. Like, he's just blowing up guys, right? Which is the Tom Brady that we saw, on a daily basis, like get very irritated with players and coaches and people that weren't producing the way he expected them to. He had a pretty short temper at times. And so it's, knowing the competitor that he is, I can hear him and believe that he would say something like that to, just keep it real and get guys pulling the rope in the right direction. The story itself, however, was sort of taking that anecdote and asking sort of the following question, which was, where is that on TV? Where is that fire? You know what I mean? Where is all of that? And Kyle Rudolph, who played with Tom Brady, is the one that told TalkSport that wrote this story. He said, I think it shocked me because when you watch the Netflix series, because Tom is one of those guys that's just good at everything. And he said, it's like the guy that you love to hate. You're like, man, this dude's good looking. He's the greatest quarterback that ever played the game. He's a good golfer. He's a good dude. He's nice to everyone. But also you could tell he was nervous. And I think having called games myself, he was talking about his broadcasting. When you're a guy like Tom that has so much knowledge on the game and has so many good stories to tell, so many things that fans are just dying to hear, but you only have a small amount of time to get it all. Timing was an issue, I think, with Brady when he first got the broadcasting gig. I don't know exactly why we don't see that Brady, the critical Brady, the intense Brady, the win at any cost type Brady. I understand that he's, also part owner of the Raiders, and that might be a big factor in that. But having said that, man, I mean, the guy, absolutely knows the game so well and is so passionate about it and what it takes to win, like you heard with him talking about Birmingham City. That's not even his sport. But I'd like for some of that to come through the microphone. And maybe it's just the format is hard to express that. But Tom can be extremely edgy. And, the comments he made there, I think would have played really well on Fox, whether he does it next year or not.
Yeah, the television part, and we've talked about this some over time, but it's almost to the point where if Brady's calling a game and it's not a game I have to or really want to watch, like if the Bucs are playing, of course I'm going to watch that.
Yeah,
like I'd almost turn it off because he bores you and tells you nothing.
Wow.
He rehashes a couple stories of being down 28-3 that we've heard a million times.
Yeah,
but tell me what happened on this play? Why this guy ran this route? Why this pass went errant? Why this pass rush worked? Tell me all this stuff. Like, he's the expert at it.
Yeah.
I mean, for 25 years practically in the NFL, he was the best at within 2 seconds calling a play, snapping the play, diagnosing what happens, and creating an outcome that wasn't detrimental to the offense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best ever at it. Like,
so why can't his timing benefit him in the broadcast job if he's that quick at analyzing stuff?
And you don't even have to cut guys up. Just tell me what happened on this play. Show me.
Right. Tell me what I saw what happened, but tell me how it happened and why.
I saw the running back ran to the right and only got 1 yard, so tell me why that happened.
I know.
Well, the running back should have taken this. The offensive lineman missed this block. The defense blitzed and did this. Like, he can diagnose that in 2 seconds on a football field receiving the snap.
Yeah.
You can't do a little bit of that in the booth? Like, come
No,
on.
I think he should. And I don't want him to predict plays and be Romo-esque in that sense. I want him to do something different, but you know,
You
you
don't have
don't
to
have
predict them. Tell me what happened afterwards.
you don't have to recreate what I just saw on the play. You don't have to
Mhm.
say, look at this run here, and he runs so hard, and he's going to lower his shoulder and pick up a couple of yards. Like, yeah, I just saw the run, Tom. Like, tell me how he was able to do it. Um,
Well,
I I'm
Baker
not as
Mayfield
critical, but
overthrows a receiver over here and throws it out of bounds. Well,
mhm.
why did he have to do that on that play? Because that's obviously not what you drew up.
Sure,
Well,
sure.
why was that a smart play that Baker did this? Well, it's because the receiver over here something happened, or the defensive back, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like that's what you should be telling me.
Yeah. And he's fully capable of it. I mean, nobody knows more football than Tom Brady. Sometimes he might know too much. You have to dummy it down a little bit. But yeah, I think that first year at Fox, it was sort of feeling his way out and being that good ambassador and the good looking guy in the blue suit that everybody wanted to see, touch, feel. You wonder how much of that money he makes, 37.5 million a year, is for his performance. Okay. They just rushed him to the number one tee. No broadcast experience whatsoever because they're not dummies. They're thinking he's going to get ratings. But like how much of that is for, the play by play part versus what they can use from him for corporate clients and sponsors? Like, I think that's a big part of his job. There's no broadcaster on earth worth $37.5 million. What would you have to say for me to be that enraptured with you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm playing golf with the CEO of this company who's ready to spend $8
Absolutely.
million on a Super Bowl ad as well as commercials all year long, and go to this function and the upfronts and all the stuff they do. I mean, that's where you're getting your money's worth out of him.
Yeah.
If you take Tom Brady out with the head of some company that's looking to spend $50 million advertising for a season in the NFL, are they going to say no to Tom Brady?
No, he's going to close him. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
close him because he's that charismatic and that impressive. And
Yeah.
and he's Tom freaking Brady.
Yep.
You know, like I don't doubt at all that, look, I unquestionably Greg Olson's a better color analyst than Tom Brady was, and he had to give up his seat because
Yep.
they were hiring a guy with zero experience, right? Just on the belief that he would be good. And good might be a stretch at this point. I think he'll be better the second year,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't guarantee you anything. I don't I don't dislike Tom in the booth. I here's what I wonder: like most players and coaches, for that matter, when they get out of football, like a lot of them will become broadcasters, and it's exhausting. You're on the road every week. You're having to study for teams and names and this and that and the other. But you know, I think what they miss is the competitive drive. Like you can't compete in the who are you competing with? Greg Olson, another
Mm-hmm.
broadcaster. Like you want to be part of a team because they've been since they were 10 years old. And you can't. I've heard guys say, "Well, my team now is the Monday Night Football crew. That's our team." Well, not really, because you're not going. Let's go win a big one over Fox today. Um, I think you enjoy the competitiveness of it. And that's why, to me, his involvement with the Raiders, I think, is just beginning. Like, I don't, the percentage and how much he invested and all of that. Okay, that's one thing. First of all, he was on the field the other day. It's very weird to see him standing there, um, you know, in that sort of garb. I mean, the Raiders, the tuck rule, ever heard of it? Like, it's strange. But there he was analyzing and being very critical, I would imagine, of the players he was watching. I could see him kind of moving that direction because ultimately, he's going to want to compete and he can't play anymore. So, and the other thing is, if he's going to be, and he is a big, sort of part of other games and analyzing other teams, I don't know that I want him give him information about a rookie that I just signed or an undrafted guy, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not working for the Raiders here. And I know he has relationships and I know he tried to keep it professional, but still, it's kind of clunky and he's not great yet. And just that fire that came out talking about Birmingham was what I saw Tom do with the Bucs and make people miserable for a couple years. But he put a ring on their damn finger. And, if he could bring that same sort of energy and passion and fire to broadcasting, he'd be the best that ever lived. I just don't know what his end game is. If I told you right now, is he going to finish a 10-year deal with Fox for $375 million?
I don't think so, but
I don't either.
I think he'll get bored.
It's a lot of money, but I think he's going to get bored, and I think he's going to hate, the travel, and I think he's going to want more of his life back and not just get enough acclaim. I mean, dollars are big, obviously. Money really matters, even to him, and what he wants to do with it. But, Jiminy Christmas, I mean, that's a lot of cash for an announcer or broadcaster, and I don't know that I could, if I'm another team, I'm not going to have him in a pregame studio meeting. Like, he plays for the enemy. He's one of them. So I don't know how you go about this, but I think he could be a lot more edgy as an announcer. And I also believe that I don't believe he's going to do that for very long. I don't think he lives out the entire contract, which is like 10 years. Rays are out in Anaheim. Unfortunately for them, as we do this podcast, they're trailing 4-1. Hauser has been the pitcher and just left a couple pitches over the middle of the plate and got hurt a little bit. But then again,
I think gave up 3 home runs all year and then gave up 1 tonight. So
yeah,
good debut.
Right, fits right in. Not that the Rays are hurting or hitting rather. They are hurting. They're not hitting. Yeah. That's why they're hurting. 1 run again tonight. They were shut out 2 out of 3 games. The other day against the Dodgers. So not trending in the right direction right now with the bats for sure.
Well, it's not a good way to kick off a 12-game, 14-day road trip.
Oh, my God.
They're in Anaheim, then they have an off day. Then I think Seattle's next.
Seattle's in there, yeah. Arizona, maybe?
I think it's San Francisco.
It is San Francisco, you're right.
And then... Oh no! I think it's Athletics, and they end in San Francisco. I think I forget the order. Those are the 4 teams
in there. Yeah, it's the West Coast swing, man. Unfortunately, it's coming right on the heels of the East Coast swing, and only just 3 days.
Well, this Anaheim series originally was in Tampa. This is one they switched from early in the season.
Really?
Yeah. So this would have been a 10 or a 9-game, 10-day road trip.
They did all of this under the guise of too hot, too many rain delays, too much weather. Literally, the Rays are one of about a handful of teams that have not had a rain out this year.
Of all the teams that have an open-air stadium, the only ones to not have a rain out all year are the California teams and Tampa.
That's nuts.
So it's Sacramento, San Francisco, L.A., San Diego, and Tampa.
That's nuts. It's just nuts.
Everybody else has had rainouts.
Yeah. So much for, it rains every day. We got to get you out of town. We're going to have to make you put on the road now here for this.
Although maybe part of it is they sent them on the road and they're not getting rainouts because
they're not here. So, that could be a big part of it. They'd have to factor into it, right? If you're playing most of your games on the road, you're not going to get rained out. But
they've only had 1 long rain delay at home.
2.5 hours. I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday.
It was a Sunday. It was Sunday. It was getaway day against the Orioles.
Yeah. I mean, that sucks. It sucks to have to be out there that long. That's one thing about baseball that's tough is that you have to have the right field conditions, and if you don't have a dome, rain is gonna mess up your day.
Yep.
So.
And your guy Christopher Morel batting 4th again.
My guy, yeah. Why don't you just trade him? I love that trade deadline talk about Christopher Morel, like as if, man, who wants this dude? Can I get a ham sandwich? I feel for him because people are piling on him, and all I can say is that, you know what they call the worst guy in the big leagues, the absolute worst player? They call him a major leaguer. They call him a major league player. Like, however he got there, it wasn't by total accident, But
FanDuel showed a graphic tonight. It was in the pregame show.
Yeah.
When Christopher in the 70 whatever games he's played this season,
mm-hmm.
in the games that they've won, he's hitting like .313 with 6 home runs and
there
whatever.
There you go. Yeah.
In the games that they've lost that he's played in, he's been like .120 and So they kind of go as he goes when he's in the lineup.
It's his fault. Yeah. No, but it also shows that he has, the secret to any success at this level, and you got batting coaches and things like that. Is like, if you can do it once, right? If you can crush it one time, um, and why can't we get your swing back to that where we know you're most productive? So the mechanics become an issue, but if you can do it once, you can do it more than once. And so Morel, you know, just have to find that thing. He's had his moments, but he's had too many other moments where he, had swing and miss, and it doesn't look good. But he is a right-handed bat, and you got to, if you're going against a lefty, you're going to have to keep as many of those guys in as you can. All right. Well, again, I'll be back at the Bucs today as they begin practice 8:30 a.m. this morning. They'll practice today, tomorrow. Joint practice on Thursday if you get a chance to participate anytime this week. And the Rays will continue their series in Anaheim. Not off to a great start as we do this podcast. They're trailing 4-1. Man, they need to turn this thing around and fast. Go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out the beautiful Chronomat watches, the Navitimers, watches for your wife, your girlfriend. These are sports watches, all kinds of different colored wristbands. And while supplies last, they're celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different team watches. Again, while supplies last, it's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.